Letter 9. The Goodness of God. To Sister Marie-Thérèse de Vieux-Ménil. Another fresh motive for abandoning ourselves to God, His fatherly providence. I do not understand your uneasiness, my dear sister, nor why you take pleasure in tormenting yourself as you do about the future, when your faith teaches you that the future is in the hands of an infinitely good Father, who loves you more than you love yourself, and who understands what is necessary for you much better than you. Have you forgotten that everything that happens is ordained by Divine Providence? And if we recognize this truth, how is it that we are not humbly submissive in every event, both great and small, to all that God wills or permits? Oh, how blind we are when we desire anything other than what God wills! He alone knows the dangers that threaten us in the future, and the helps we shall require. I am strongly persuaded that we should all be lost if God were to grant us all that we asked for. And this is why, says St. Augustine, God, out of compassion for our blindness, does not always hear our prayers, and often gives us the exact contrary to what we asked Him, as being, in truth, better for us. Truly it seems to me that in this world, nearly all of us are like people who in madness or delirium ask for exactly what will cause our death, and to whom it is refused out of charity or in pity. O my God, if this truth were but understood, with what blind abandonment would we not submit to all the decrees of your divine providence? What peace and tranquillity of heart should we enjoy about all things and in all things, not only as to outward events, but also about the interior state of our souls. Even if the painful vicissitudes through which God makes us pass should be in punishment for our unfaithfulness, we ought to say to ourselves, God wills it by permitting it, and humbly submit. We must, then, detest the offense, and accept the painful and humiliating consequences, as St. Francis of Sales so often recommends. Would that this principle, thoroughly grasped, could put an end to the troubles and anxieties that are so useless and so destructive of our peace of mind and spiritual progress. Shall I never be able, even with the help of your grace, to introduce into your soul this great principle of faith, so sweet, so consoling, so tranquilizing? O my God, we ought to repeat, may your will be accomplished in me, and never my own. May yours be accomplished, because it is infinitely just, and also infinitely advantageous to me. I acknowledge that you can will nothing that is not for the greatest benefit to your creatures, as long as they are submissive to your commands. May my wishes never be granted if they do not agree perfectly with yours, because in that case they would be disastrous to me. And if ever, my God, it happens that either through ignorance or passion I should persist in desiring things contrary to your will, may I always be refused or punished, as the effect not of your justice, but of your compassion and great mercy. Whatever happens, says St. Francis of Sales, I shall always side with Divine Providence, even if human wisdom tears her hair out with spite. If you were more enlightened, you would judge very differently from the ordinary run of human beings. Then, too, what a source of peace and strength this way of looking at things would prove to you. How happy are saints, and how peacefully they live, and how blind and stupid we are in not accustoming ourselves to think and act as they do, but to prefer living shut up in thick darkness, which makes us wretched as well as blind and guilty. Let us then make it our study, aim, and purpose to conform ourselves in all things to the holy will of God, in spite of interior rebellion. Even about this rebellion we must acquiesce in the will of God, for it compels us to remain always before Him in a state of sacrifice as to all things, in an interior silence of respect, adoration, self-effacement, submission, love, and an entire abandonment full of confidence to His divine will. Letter 10. Continued Troubles. To the same sister. My dear sister, I am sorry that your troubles continue, but I should be much more sorry if you refused to profit by them, at least in the way of making a virtue of necessity, remember our great principles. First, that there is nothing so small or so apparently indifferent which God does not ordain or permit, even to the fall of a leaf. Second, that God is sufficiently wise and good and powerful and merciful to turn even the most apparently disastrous events to the advantage and profit of those who humbly adore and accept His will in all that He permits. Is there anything more consoling in religion than these two principles? When we know, too, that our natural dislikes and rebellions, far from preventing the merit of submission, do but increase it as long as this submission is sincere in the higher part of the soul. When we know further that these fits of impatience and vexation, which are only half voluntary, are the effect of frailty, and do not destroy our submission, but only slightly diminish its merit. These imperfections are often useful to us by rendering us more humble, and preventing us from losing all our merit through a vain self-complacency. Do you recollect this wise saying of Fénelon? It is a great grace of God to be willing to suffer, not in a grand and heroic way, but quite humbly, and in small things, because in this way we gain patience, and become little and humble at the same time. As for the grievous trials of which you speak, add them to your cross as an extra weight that Divine Providence allows you to carry, and instead of one fiat, say 2, then remain in peace in the superior part of your soul, whatever storms and tempests rage in the inferior part. The latter resembles the base of a high mountain, where bad weather is usually encountered, however fine and clear the sky is at the summit. Try then to keep yourself always on the summit, in those serene heights above the thunderstorms and every disaster. It seems to me that your thoughts dwell too much on creatures. As for me, thank God I see only Him in all things. Everything helps me to Him. Since it is He that has placed us where we are, dependent on those who afflict us, it is therefore on Him alone that we must depend. It is He alone, I am certain, who inspires or allows the actions of men. I will accept nothing that does not come to me from Him, will owe no obligation to anyone but Him, will thank no one but Him alone. If you call to mind how little men contribute to the existing state of things, you will see that it is Divine Providence who manages everything in a manner singularly adapted for the welfare of those who submit to Him, and who disposes everything for their best advantage. God can produce occurrences and arrange necessary circumstances as seems good to Him. May He be blessed for all, in all, and forever. I am aware that my direction is considered rather too simple, but what does that matter? This holy simplicity, hated by the world, is to me so delightful that I never dream of correcting it. Everyone to his taste. I respect those who are wise and prudent, but content myself with remaining one of those poor, simple, and little people of whom Jesus Christ speaks, and after His example St. Francis of Sales. Let us be sure that God arranges all for the best. Our fears, our activities, our urgencies, make us imagine inconveniences where in reality they do not exist. Let us follow step by step the ways of Divine Providence, and when we realize what is required of us, let us desire that and nothing else. God knows much better than we do ourselves what is most suitable for us, His poor creatures. Our misfortunes and sufferings often result from the accomplishment of our own desires. Let us leave all to God, and then all will go well. Abandon to Him everything in general. That is the best way, indeed the only way, of providing infallibly and surely for all our real interests. I say real because there are false interests that lead to our ruin. The abandonment to Divine Providence which I practice and counsel others to adopt is not so heroic nor difficult as you seem to imagine. It is the center of a solid peace, and in it I find an unchangeable repose, proof against the most trying events. Oh, how well repaid we are for the small and miserable sacrifices we make for God! And then, once made, there are no more to make, because we no longer have any other desires. We cannot entertain even a wish for ourselves apart from the will of our Sovereign Master, nor without his permission. What a happy state both for this life and the next!